The Trade is brought to you by Vantage Markets, delivering one of Australia's most trusted and award-winning trading experiences. Explore smart trading at vantagemarkets.com.au.
Hello and welcome to The Trade. Before we get into the charts that matter, let's have a look at what is moving sentiment for traders. And of course, it was a busy night for traders, with China and the US effectively announcing a truce in their trade war, agreeing to roll back most of their tariffs. The US dropping the extra tariffs it imposed on China this year to 30% from 145%, China cutting them to 10% from 125%. However, President Trump warning the tariffs could still increase if talks fail to secure an agreement within 90 days. Now, tariffs imposed before April 2nd will remain, and Chinese products including EVs, steel and aluminium will still face separate tariffs imposed over the past several years. It is unclear if China's ban on rare earths will count as a US-specific countermeasure under the agreement. In light of the trade war de-escalation, Goldman Sachs lifted its forecast for US economic growth and lowered the probability for a recession. Meanwhile, FOMC member Adriana Kugler saying trade policies are evolving and are likely to continue shifting even as recently as today. Still, she said, they appear likely to generate significant economic effects even if tariffs stay close to the currently announced levels. And we saw US Treasury yields rise to the highest levels in 1 month in response to the trade tariffs. Let's get across the technicals now. Mandi Rafsendjani from Trading Psychology joins me. And Mandi, I saw your email to us confirming your appearance, saying you've been up all night trading, I can imagine. Have you made a comeback like Oscar Piastri?
I have. It was a really good night. The markets have been a little challenging in the past with the volatility, especially for us short-term traders. But, then we get our big break and we make it all back and more. So, yeah, it was worth it. Have an afternoon nap, though.
So let's talk about trading, though. And I know you always like to draw comparisons. We've been talking a fair bit about the Grand Prix. So Oscar Piastri, that was quite the dramatic spin out due to the rain in the Melbourne Grand Prix. But then he's won his next 4 races. So how can people take what we saw there in the sporting world and really translate it to what we're seeing in the overall trading world?
Yeah, I absolutely loved. I'm not really interested in Formula One, but I love how people perform on the highest levels under these really challenging circumstances. And it was Warren Buffett who said, once you have like an average IQ, all you need is the temperament to resist the urges and temptations that we all are exposed to. And most of the people and traders fall into those traps. But it's the ones who can resist it who really succeed. And this is what happened for Oscar Piastri. He fell into one of those traps. Like, he really wanted to do so well here in Melbourne, in front of his home crowd, in front of his parents. And when we want something too much, Juliet, then usually the opposite happens. We have the fear of not getting it. So that's my definition of stress, right? So stress is either the fear of not getting what we want, so the profit or the win, and or the fear of getting what you don't want, the loss. And this is a really important distinction for me. When I know which one is going on for my trader, then I also understand what is going on in their way of thinking, their mindset. And so it's really important, know your fears. Like, if Oscar Piastri had known that this is such a performance pressure for him, he could have dealt with it in advance. And, like the fear of the FOMO that everybody experiences, the fear of letting other people down. I always ask my traders, what is it you're afraid of? The fear of losing their income, that they don't have what it takes, fear of failure. So when we have these fears, the self-doubt kicks in and we lose our focus. We focus on things that don't matter so much, and we start focusing on things that like that really derail us. Like, what if I can't make it? And our negative self-talk starts. And what most people do then in that context is they start freezing. And it feels so uncomfortable, doesn't it, Juliet, when we are self-doubting or when we have fears
Yeah.
and we start doing really badly.
Indeed. So knowing your fears is one thing. You mentioned before, Mandy, you might need an afternoon nap today. I assume that everybody performing at peak performance needs to be well rested, focused. What is the ideal trading state?
Yeah, so this is also something that I learned from Steve Warden's book, High Performance Trading, as well, where it is so important to benchmark and define when do we perform at our best. And so I was just working, a friend of mine actually shared with me that in April he was down $300,000. He had one of his A Super Plus setups, went in big, and he's a fixed income trader. And then, of course, Trump tweeted, and then overnight, big gap, he was down $300,000. And I'm like, how did you get out of that? Because he finished the month up 35,000, right? So he made up 335,000 after fees, by the way. And so he said, I really focus on my routine because I'm getting so stressed. I make sure I sleep enough, and sleep is difficult when you're in fear, when you're, in a drawdown. And he says, I make sure that I have a good team around me to help me stay focused on what really matters. And he pushes the self-doubt, the bad negative thoughts to the side. And this is a really big difference between successful traders and struggling traders, where the struggling traders, they don't want to feel that really yucky feeling that we get when we are in a big drawdown. And so they go on tilt, on overdrive, trying to not feel it. And what I work with my traders on, and what this trader already does, he's just a friend of mine, not a client. He embraced that feeling. He worked with it. He's like, that's okay. We do have negative self-talk. We do have fears. And he acknowledges it, validates it. And this is what we call mental fitness. Yeah, how quickly can we emotionally, mentally recover? So super, super, super important.
What about de-escalating positions and making sure that your overall potential risk isn't too high?
Yeah, this is also an interesting one. So again, when I compare with my traders who are struggling and want help to actually break even or make a decent profit, compared to the traders who already are doing well and want to reach the next milestone, the the traders who are successful, they de-escalate, so they reduce position size, and what they focus on is recovering the losing position. They don't go big, they don't do anything else. They just really focus on getting back to break even in the equity curve and then work from that. Do they miss really great setups? Yes, they do. It's opportunity cost, but that's life. And they know there's always another opportunity coming around. Whereas the traders who are not so experienced, who are struggling from the get-go, they're the ones who start tripling up their positions, who start trading far too much, right? So they do the opposite. They're trying too hard, like, spinning out like Oscar Piastri. So for example, one of my guys, he just sent me a message this morning. He was really having a bad April, and he knew gold is going to move. He knew Bitcoin is going to move, but his timing, he didn't know. So he kept probing, was down about $200,000 with the probing. And he was really getting frustrated. And, he sent me a message this morning. He made $800,000 there today. He's in New York, so our overnight. So what the difference is, he knows the system works and he keeps probing. And even if the self-doubt kicks in, he has this mental toughness, mental fitness that helps him to stay focused, because they de-escalate in the moments when it doesn't work so well.
Okay, so it's no longer 1980, Gordon Gekko. We're not seeing smoking, drinking at the trading desk. Mandy, how do we sort of manage some of this stress with routine?
Yes, again, this is what I hear from all the high performers, how they recover. It is having a routine, that because when we are in a loss or when the markets are wide like that, that's a lot of uncertainty. So we have to deal with uncertainty, and humans don't like uncertainty, right? That's natural resistance. We want structure and stability and feel safe. So we have to create this stability and feeling safe by continuing to go to the gym, because what's the first instinct we have? We want to stick in front of the monitor. We don't want to go away. So keep going to the gym, keep eating healthy, keep having your connections. And that's also a really big point. They have what they call their pods, PODs, right? So their team where everybody's supporting each other. There is no negative feedback. There's just, you can do it. Let's figure out what's missing for you. How can you do it? That's a little bit also the job for me as a coach. Sometimes that's all I can do, just be there and have their back until they're back on their horse or the markets change again in their favor. So yeah, routines. And also Linda Rushke, she's like a big on routines. Yeah.
All right, routine, de-escalating stress, all of the good things. Mandi, thank you so much. Mandi Rafsendjani from Trading Psychology. That does it for this edition of The Trade. Be sure to join us next time.
The Trade was brought to you by Vantage Markets, delivering one of Australia's most trusted and award-winning trading experiences. Explore smart trading at vantagemarkets.com.au. The Trade is brought to you by Vantage Markets, delivering one of Australia's most trusted and award-winning trading experiences. Explore smart trading at vantagemarkets.com.au.